Dmitry Lavrenenko, Soviet lieutenant, 3rd Tank Regiment. His foxhole account during the first battles against German panzers is the most detailed and emotionally impactful, showcasing courage and improvisation against a superior enemy. You do not underestimate a German tank. For decades, it was believed that the PZKP W3 and 4 were unbeatable. In training, on war maps, in military circles, an undeniable truth was repeated. Any Soviet force facing these machines was doomed. The German command relied on this. Their reports arrogantly described the Russians as lacking resources, armor, or tactics to resist. It was an assumption that seemed solid. But in 1941, as Operation Barbarossa advanced, one man and his machine changed everything. Dmitry Lavrenenko was 28 years old, dark hair always soaked with sweat, and eyes that never left the line of fire. Born in a village in Ukraine, he grew up enduring extreme cold and the harshness of rural life, skills that now shaped his calm in impossible battles. With only a few months of tank command experience, he led T-34 No. 42, one of the new Soviet machines that Germany still scorned. The Soviet Union faced the largest invasion in its history. Over 3 million German soldiers crossed the border on June 22, 1941. Columns of tanks and artillery stretched for dozens of kilometers. Every hour mattered. Every decision could mean the life or death of hundreds. Dmitry knew he had to prevent advances at strategic points, roads, bridges, railway crossings. If he failed, villages would be razed, cities captured, lives lost. And in many moments, he was alone, just him, his 4-man crew, and the T-34 advancing against panzers that should have crushed them effortlessly. The cold cut through the skin, the smell of oil and gunpowder was constant, and above all, the roar of approaching German engines echoed across the plains. He clenches his fists. He knows every second counts. The task seems impossible. June 22nd, 0830. Dmitry receives the enemy position, 6 panzers advancing through the valley, 1,500 yards ahead. He calculates, takes a deep breath, and gives the order, advance. The T-34 vibrates beneath him, steel and power concentrated. The countdown begins. 1,500 yards, the sound of German engines grows. 1,200 yards, the first PZKA WI-4 emerges between burned trees. 900 yards, he fires the 76.2 millimeter gun. The shell explodes on the side of the tank, sending sparks and debris flying. The enemy retreats, but not for long. The T-34 shots continue. 800 yards, 600 each, hit a tactical victory, but every second carries the risk of retaliation. The German commander watches, incredulous. "How is this possible?" he murmurs, as the tanks that underestimated the Soviet machine begin to falter. 400 yards, the second PZK PFWI-4 succumbs to a precise shot. The ground shakes. Twisted metal smells of gunpowder and burnt iron. Dmitry calculates his next target. The sound of gunfire, the engine's vibration, the crew's tension, everything converges in a moment of precision. 300 yards, 200 a moment, when failure seems certain. An enemy shell hits the turret but does not explode. They breathe, improvise, adjust. 100 yards, the last tank. He aims, fires. The impact spins the turret. The German tank is neutralized. Absolute silence, except for the T-34's still hot engine and the groans of the struck earth. If you find this kind of military account as fascinating as we do, it would be an honor if you hit the subscribe button. We believe these stories of courage and genius deserve to be told. By subscribing, you help ensure they are not forgotten. But the battle is not over. Between 9 a.m. and 6 p.m., Dmitri and his T-34 faced two more columns of panzers, combining ambush tactics, favorable terrain, and the Soviet machines' nearly impenetrable armor. Every shot, every maneuver, every second is a fight for survival. 1,500 meters, 1,200, 900, until finally, by evening, he tallies 5 panzers destroyed, dozens of enemy soldiers incapacitated, and his position temporarily secure. The enemy is shocked. Reports reach Berlin. The Russian tank cannot be stopped. Words that sound like disbelief. What had once been only an assumption now proves impossible. The true impact would only be understood weeks later. The German command reorganizes strategies, reroutes columns, increases artillery support. What they did not know was that the T-34 and operators like Dmitri had redefined what was possible in mechanized warfare. The initial resistance that seemed insignificant now becomes a symbol of hope for entire Soviet divisions. Villages that would have fallen remain free. Critical roads stay open. The enemy panics, trying in vain to adapt to a weapon they had deemed fragile. Every action by Dmitri reverberates in subsequent battles. Kharkov, Kursk, Stalingrad. The domino effect begins here, with one man and his machine defying all military logic. Dmitri Lavrinenko continued his career, becoming the greatest tank ace of the war. Dmitri Lavrinenko continued his career, becoming the greatest tank ace of the war, credited with 52 enemy tanks destroyed before his death in 1941, at age 28, in direct combat. Yet, to this day, every T-34 you see, every Soviet war manual, every story of heroism echoes what he achieved that day. If this story moved you, please click the like button. Each click tells the algorithm that this piece of history deserves to be remembered. We are dedicated to rescuing these forgotten stories from the archives. If you want to join us in this mission, subscribe and turn on notifications. Where are you watching from? Leave a comment with your city or state and share if anyone in your family served. Dmitri Lavrinenko continued his career, becoming the greatest tank ace of the war, credited with 52 enemy tanks destroyed before his death in 1941, at age 28, in direct combat. Yet, to this day, every T-34 you see, every Soviet war manual, every story of heroism echoes what he achieved that day. If this story moved you, please click the like button. Each click tells the algorithm that this piece of history deserves to be remembered. We are dedicated to rescuing these forgotten stories from the archives. If you want to join us in this mission, subscribe and turn on notifications. Where are you watching from? Leave a comment with your city or state and share if anyone in your family served.